So much to be decided on the Premier League's final day. Sunday, Champions League spots, Europa League spots, even down at the bottom of the table, we got a relegation scrap. Let's focus in on the two key matchups, though. Third place Manchester United visiting fifth place Leicester. For United, a draw or a win gets them into Champions League. Leicester, only a win will guarantee them a spot in Champions League. A draw might do the trick, depending on what happens when Chelsea host Wolves. Chelsea in fourth, Wolves in sixth. Trying to hold on to that Europa League spot. Chelsea into the Champions League with a win or a draw. For more, we're joined by Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol. Gentlemen, we know what's at stake. Not just a Champions League spot, but millions and millions of dollars in revenue. Let's put Leicester to a side for just a second. We'll focus on Manchester United and Chelsea and the two managers, really, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Frank Lampard. Stevie, who is under more pressure this weekend to maintain that top four spot?
Oh dear. Do you know what? That's not an easy question to answer, because they're both under pressure for different reasons. You know, Ollie was so far outside the top four at one stage that even if they didn't, and by some miracle Leicester beat them, even if they didn't make it, if you're Ollie, you can still make an argument, well, look, you know what? What's happened between this period and this period? We were unlucky in the end, but we've actually got a team on the rise. On the other hand, if you're Frank, nobody gave him a chance at the start of the season that he would get in the top four. I certainly didn't. But the fact that it was so much theirs to throw away, and it seems like they could throw it away. It's possible that if they didn't qualify, then I think it would be a bigger blow to Frank. At the same time, I don't think either of these guys, if they don't make it, are going to get fired. There's no way Ollie's getting fired at United. And I think Frank, from being called a novice to maybe or closely getting them in the Champions League, will be given more time. So I don't think either of them have their jobs on the line. I just think probably Frank would be more disappointed considering the position that they were once in.
Craig, what do you think? Who has more to lose on Sunday?
The clubs. Because, as Stevie pointed out, there's none of these two managers, barring a crazy decision, at the moment, are going to lose their jobs off the back of the weekend's results. I don't think that is going to happen. Neither are going to be fired. Solskjaer for the reason that Stevie mentioned. Although the season's over a full season, so, you know, that argument can fall down. It's definitely got better, but it could finish poorly. And Lampard, because of the transfer ban and losing your best players. So, yes, Chelsea had it in their grasp, and if they lose it, I think they'll be more disappointed. But the only people that lose out are the clubs. The clubs lose out with the revenue, particularly off the back of the pandemic, and the lost revenue through that. Smaller transfer budgets, owners have to dip into the pockets even more. So it is going to have a hit on these clubs. But certainly since they came back, Man United have had the easiest run-in by far. And they're playing a Leicester side that are on their knees, completely on their knees, particularly the defensive aspect of the squad. In contrast to that, Chelsea are playing a Wolves side that are a great unit. They're a very compact unit. They play almost the same sort of 11 most weeks, and they've got something to play for as well. So United, it's really in their hands in terms of the state that Leicester are in.
We keep talking about Leicester. It's not very glowing praise. There's a phenomenon on this show, guys, and we just saw it a week ago. Every single person picked Manchester City in the FA Cup semifinal, and Arsenal won. Every single person is counting Leicester out of this top four race. Stevie, is there seriously no hope for the Foxes?
Well, I'd like somebody to give me a reason for hope. And the truth is that there's little scraps. There's a guy called Jamie Vardy who's looking to win that book title, who can produce something from nothing. After that, I don't see where the goals are coming from. So listen, football's a strange game, and as you said, City lost in the semi-final to Arsenal. But you have to look at things rationally. You can't just go on by the way, my cat went through the door backwards this morning, so that means that Leicester are going to win. You know, you can't go along those lines. So I can't come up with a reason why Leicester beat Manchester United.
To be fair, Craig, United aren't invincible, right?
No, and they had a lacklustre performance last time out. They also had one against Southampton where, arguably they were lucky to get a point. I mean, they were outplayed at home in the first 20 minutes by Southampton. They were not great in the last game either. Pogba looked off the pace. Defensively, they've got some issues. So if they turn up with that kind of performance again, and listen, I would be surprised because in that dressing room, you don't have to hit home how big a game is it for these players. But if they do, for some reason, have that lacklustre start to the game or performance, then Leicester have one or two players that are available to them that could hurt them. Stevie mentioned them. But when you look at it, the two fullbacks that are being highly thought of, Chilwell and Pereira, are out. Soyuncu serves his final suspension of a 3-game suspension, and they're missing James Maddison as well, who's been a great playmaker for them in midfield, on top of one or two other players. So it's the odds are against Leicester, but it's not nigh on impossible. We're not talking about a team in the third or fourth tier of English football here playing Liverpool at the top. We've seen two relatively evenly matched teams all year, but Leicester have had the more problematic time in the last few weeks. So the odds are against them, but Brendan Rodgers will need to come up with something that can hurt Manchester United and put them under pressure.
All right, let's turn our attention to the bottom of the table, the relegation scrap. We know Norwich are already going down. Then it's Villa, Watford, Bournemouth. Three teams trying to avoid those two spots. Stevie, who do you think saves themselves on Sunday?
I think Villa save themselves. Bournemouth, for me, if they're going to get out, it's going to have to be by playing football. They're not going to out physical anybody or just fight and scrap and spit and chew for their lives. I just don't see that. And Watford, I mean, you talk about a team in a club in complete and utter disarray. How they're supposed to galvanise themselves under Mullins in such a short space of time. I just don't see it happening. Villa, on the other hand, look as though they've got a bit of confidence about them. They've got a bit of grit. They've tightened up big time defensively. And going into this game, that to me is about as important as anything. Bournemouth can't defend. Watford can't defend. Villa can. And Villa can do you on the break and get a couple of goals.
Craig, Bournemouth have been the little club that could in the Premier League for a while, maybe stayed up longer than most would have expected. You think this is the end for Bournemouth in the top flight?
I think it could be. I mean, they go to Everton, who are a fickle side. We saw them have a very good performance in victory at Sheffield United, but they're hot and cold, more often cold. Watford have got a trip to Arsenal, where Arsenal, I'm sure Arteta's saying, look, you're playing for your places in the cup final in 7 days' time or 6 days' time. So they've got something to chew into. And Villa go to West Ham, who have also been in that relegation fight, but have managed to get themselves out. So they go to the poorest side and the side who are safe. Now, sometimes people say, well, you can relax and play better football when you're safe. But, 90% of these West Ham players, they're on the beach. So Villa have a great opportunity here just to nail it. And I would say Bournemouth maybe have the most difficult, or Watford, might have the most difficult task going to Arsenal. But I think Bournemouth could be gone. It's going to be a huge blow to them. But, Eddie Howe, they'll have to have a rethink about how they do things if they do go down.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.